So in the last section, we successfully set up our Elastic Beanstalk app. In this section and in the following sections, I'll be going over the theory of how cloud computing in AWS works. And without this fundamental baseline knowledge, we won't be able to do anything meaningful in AWS. So for that reason, this section and the next several sections will be dedicated to theory and understanding how cloud computing works. So we'll start off very basic. How does networking work in cloud computing? So networking in cloud computing is actually done the same exact way as networking is done with hardware. All hardware required for networking, such as routers, switches, internet gateways, are all virtualized in cloud computing, meaning they're all represented by code. They're virtual. There's no physical routers we provision whenever we set up a route table. For example, in most web hosting services, take care of networking for you behind the scenes, but we'll set up networking from scratch. This is why you can just deploy a app to Heroku or DigitalOcean, and you don't really have to set anything up. And networking essentially determines how resources or web servers and databases communicate with each other and the wider internet. And VPCs, IP addresses, and subnets are the most important concepts and the most difficult ones to learn for networking in AWS cloud computing. And because every resource is deployed in a VPC, as we'll see in a second, if you don't understand VPCs, you won't be able to do too many things in AWS cloud computing. So this is why I'm dedicating such a large portion of the course to the theory and understanding of how it works. And here's a diagram of what we're going to be building. So we'll go over obviously each of these different parts in more detail, but this is just a basic overview. So we have our VPC inside of AWS cloud. So our VPC is basically our own virtual private cloud and our own subsection of the cloud. And inside our VPC, we have a public and a private subnet. So private subnet is not accessible by the internet. And this is important because this is where our database is going to be. We don't want random people just being able to access our database however they want. And for this reason, we place it in a private subnet. And we also have a public subnet, which houses our server, our Node Nginx server. This is publicly accessible because we do want users to be able to access our Node server over the internet. We don't want it to be private. So this is essentially what our app and our infrastructure is going to look like. And we'll go into more detail in the next section.